Hey, welcome to the Micheaux Mission, Two Men, One Podcast, every black film ever made. My name is Vincent Williams, and I'm joined as always by my partner.
Hey, what's up? Holla at your boy. This is Len, a.k.a. the Bat Tribble. Hello.
And on this episode, our last stop in 2020's Black Horror Month.
Dun, dun, dun.
We are actually going to circle back to another feature from celebrated director Ernest Dickerson. 1995's Tales from the Crypt presents Demon Night, the choice of Lynn Webb. But before we get to the Demon Night and a little bit of the Demon Day, Lynn, we have any business?
We do have some business, Vince. First of all, we want to wish huzzah to each and every one of you out there watching the streaming live on YouTube as well as on Facebook. Shout out to Robert Monroe and Aaron Fry for being the first persons to hit us up in the chat. How are you doing, gentlemen? Vince, I don't know if you are aware of this, but last week we did a show here on the Micheaux Mission.
Yes, we did. It's like riding a hurricane.
Indeed, it was. We had a show that we did with our good friends Omar Dorsey and Dorian Missick, where we reviewed Petey Wheatstraw, the Devil's Son-in-Law.
Yes. Whole title, please. Whole title.
Yes. And the fans really enjoyed it. We heard back from more than a few people who really liked it, and that show has skyrocketed up in our analytics and our download numbers. People have really enjoyed that extra large, beefy, R-rated show.
Yeah. People had to take a break to listen to it.
Yes. So much so that somebody hit me on the side. I'm not going to put them out there, but they said, Len, you really like the F word a lot, don't you? I'm like,
yeah, they think I'm the saucy one.
Yeah, we went in. Bree 517 says it was so much fun. Omar Dorsey is a fave, and he's definitely a fave from ours. And we heard from Dorian Missick, who said that we had an awesome time.
Hey, what's up, Dorian?
He said, I listened to the show between takes and on the way to work. It was hilarious. Thanks so much for having us. So thanks so much for taking part in the fun, Dorian. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Love them guys.
Yeah, big fun.
Had a ball.
All right. So, and we're going to see if we can't, get them back sooner than later. Now that we've got this whole virtual thing worked out, as well as bring more special guest stars for you here on the Micheaux Mission, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
We're going to try and do that for you. We're going to try and do it. All right. We got some emails, Vince.
All right.
We heard from Sherry D.
Hey, Sherry D.
I'm not a horror film person, but I just had to check out Bad Hair, a horror flick with a conscience that is currently streaming on Hulu. Have you watched it yet? I dug it for about an hour, and then things got hairy and
I see what you did there, Sherry D.
and unbelievable.
Oh.
Great cast, though. But this film documents and confirms my long-held belief that weaves are evil and can kill people.
Okay.
Bad Hair, as I mentioned, is a horror film that is streaming on Hulu right now, written, directed, and produced by Justin Simien, the creator of the film Dear White People.
Yes, and the film and the series.
Right, and the series. The film stars Elle Lorraine, Jay Farrow, Lena Waithe, Kelly Rowland, Laverne Cox, Shantae Adams, James Vander Beek, Usher, Blair Underwood, and Vanessa Williams. It's quite the impressive cast that is rolling around in Bad Hair. The trailer actually makes the movie look like it's a mix of a horror comedy to a degree. I don't know if you've seen the trailer, and have you had an opportunity to watch the movie, Vince?
I watched the trailer. I've not seen the movie yet. Have you seen it?
I have not. We actually were going to sit down and watch it the other day, me and my lady, but we actually remembered that, we have, we were going to sit down and watch it, but then we remembered that I had to watch the show, the Demon Night for tonight's show.
Okay.
And my lady doesn't like horror movies. So like this month, she's had this month off from the Micheaux mission, right?
Okay.
She's not watching any movies. And I said, well, this is Bad Hair. So like, how bad can it be, you know? So it looks like it's kind of like a comedy. So then we watched the trailer. And the trailer was enough for her to say, no, I don't need to watch that movie.
Okay, I respect that.
She said it was not worth it. Aaron Fry, on the other hand, says that Bad Hair has its moments. He actually enjoyed it. And someone on Facebook says that I checked it out and it was definitely worth a watch. So
okay, all right, excellent. This is a moment. We are in the midst of a black horror moment, and I'm loving it.
Okay, so that means that you're going to check it out, right, Vince?
I'm absolutely going to get to it. Now, was Bad Hair one of these projects that was supposed to be released to the theaters and it got caught up in COVID, or was this always a Hulu project?
No, I think this was always a Hulu project.
So it's outside of our purview.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Well, I did plan on watching it anyway, but okay, excellent. Good to hear folks enjoyed it.
The beautiful part about doing this show on video is that, you know, not only does it live out there as a podcast, but it lives out there as a video on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And we got a comment from our episode where we reviewed The Fish That Saved Pittsburgh.
Oh my goodness.
It's from Jay Kickbox. And more to the point, it's in regards to your story, Vince, about how you went to the movies to go see one particular film and then wound up seeing another particular film, which was the Fish That Saved
Star Trek, the motion picture, sold out, ended up in The Fish That Saved Pittsburgh.
Right. So Jay Kickbox writes, laughing my behind off, great story. I had a similar one with The Last Dragon. My family took forever to get ready. Thus, it was sold out, and we had to watch the Cher movie, Mask.
That story isn't quite as endearing as mine.
not quite. But you know, a fun story. Thanks for sharing it with us, Jay Kickbox.
What was that about? Like, how did Mask get made?
Mask is based on a true story.
That happened.
It's based on a true story.
I know it was based on a true story, but like I'm just trying to understand how they pitched that.
Well, the true story.
It's a heartwarming tale of someone with a disfigurement who learns to cope with life in spite of it and also share. Like, how do you pitch? Like, what was that pitch meeting like?
I'm not sure I'm following you, man. I can see where that movie could be pitched. It's like the current day, like Elephant Man or something like that, you know? Yeah.
But Elephant Man, you can actually follow that. Like, it was a play, and then it kind of went from there. And then even when the movie came out, there was debate about the use of prosthetics, because in the play, the actor usually does all of the quote unquote effects himself. And there's so much, you know, and let's be clear, the Elephant Man is a really good play. Whereas Mask was just like this schlocky 80s thing. Who was that? Eric Reynolds?
I don't think it was Eric Reynolds, but
Roberts? Remember
it wasn't Eric Roberts.
No. Right, because that's whatchamacallit. Who was it? It was that guy. He was like kind of a star for like 15. Like Mask may have destroyed his career.
Eric Stoltz.
Eric Stoltz. Where's Eric Stoltz? He was in stuff. Like Eric Stoltz was in stuff.
Eric Stoltz
he wasn't in stuff.
Eric Stoltz has been in stuff, Vince.
When is the last time you saw Eric Stoltz? I'm
going to tell you. When's the last time we saw Eric Stoltz? We just saw Eric Stoltz in he was the voice of authority in Lucky Day in 2019.
Oh, well, I apologize.
And he has spent the last 5 years, well, appearing as a recurring character on Madam Secretary.
Well, there you go.
So
I guess you showed me.
There you go. All right. He's done work. He's done work in Grey's Anatomy.
I'm just saying, like he was he was in the, you know what I'm saying? Like he was in the mix. Eric Stoltz was in the mix.
I don't know. I mean,
he's a recurring character on Madam Secretary. If he had it all to do it all over again, do you think he still would have done Mask?
Sure, he would have done Mask. Come on. George Kimona has a question for you, Vince. Is Vince wearing a Sade shirt?
Indeed, I am.
Stand up.
Indeed, I am.
Let him give him the full Sade, Vince. Give him the full Sade.
I don't know if he's ready for the full Sade. I don't know if any of us are ready for the full Sade.
Okay. All right. Well. All right. Nice shirt, Vince.
Thank you. How did we get on Mask? Why are we talking about Mask?
That's what Jay Kickbox went to see.
Oh. I was like, why are we talking about Mask?
He wanted to see
it was a bizarre 80s film.
It wasn't that bizarre, Vince. I mean, why are you coming at Mask?
Pretty bizarre.
It was not. It was not. It's a story about a kid who, was disfigured and trying to make his way through life. And Cher was a box office at that time. And Cher is, not for nothing, Cher is not a bad actress. So,
I like Cher's acting. I don't know if I remember her performance in Mask.
I bet she was pretty good in Mask. Probably got nominated.
A film that no one has thought about in 30 years before this exact conversation.
Anyway, can I continue?
I'm sorry. Go ahead. It was just it's like one of those weird things that only could have happened in the 80s. It's like when we talked about Madam. Remember we were talking about Madam in the Red Fox movie? And how everybody had like ventriloquists during the 70s? Right. And like none of us asked any questions. We just sort of went with it. There were these weird 80s movies that like no one, like we all just sort of went with it. It was the 80s.
Yeah, I just don't see it on landing on the on Mask as like the 80s. George Kimona says 80s plus Coke equals Mask. That's not true.
Real talk. That is real
true.
Have you seen the Key and Peele skit where they pitched Gremlins 2 and they talk about all the crazy stuff in Gremlins 2?
No, I did not.
And then at the end of the skit, they say everything we just said was actually in Gremlins 2. It was a weird period. I think cocaine was probably involved.
Bree 517 says the blind girl trope was in the 80s, Vince. I don't know about the blind girl trope.
I don't know about the trope, but at least once every 2 months, I reenact the plot to Lionel Richie's video, Hello, for my entire family, because that's the most touching story from the 80s.
Wait a minute. What is the storyline?
You remember the video for Hello? So it's Lionel Richie. hello, is it you I'm looking for? And I don't know if he works. I don't know if he works at the school or if he's just a stalker. But the woman at the school is blind, and he's kind of floating around her like because he likes her. And you know, and you get the sense that he's distraught because he thinks she doesn't know he exists, either because she's blind or because she just don't like him like that. But then at the end of the video, he goes into the room and she says, "I want to show you something. This is how I see you." And it's like a bust of Lionel Richie. Oh, that's
right. Yeah. Yeah, that's
the weird part is it doesn't really look like Lionel Richie.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
And she says, "This is how I see you." And it's supposed to be sweet, but then it's just like, you have more questions? The video went on.
Summer Willow says he's the stalker.
Right, he was stalking her, but little did he know she was stalking him as well.
I forgot about that. I do remember that.
Then, like, the video goes off, and like, you know, Jermaine Jackson "Say What You Say" video comes on, where like somehow he's an Italian. Remember, he was like an Italian mafioso. I think Iman played his girlfriend.
Yes.
Like he was a mafioso. He was a mafioso, and then she came in and she shot up the shower, and then the shower popped open, and it was a mannequin.
Oh my God.
And then Jermaine Jackson and his black mafiosos, they like grabbed her and took her away, and then he was sad.
I forgot. I do remember that. I do remember that video.
Like videos have like they were actually epic sagas. They were little movies.
I know.
They were little movies.
I know. People just knew they was, you know, this was my moment. Ready for my close up.
Often it'd be a commercial for Mask. Eric Stoltz is under 8 pounds of prosthetics.
No, you remember the commercial, you wouldn't see him. They wouldn't show his face in the commercials.
You're right. They wouldn't show his face. You had to go to the movies to see his face.
It was always like the back of him. So you just saw all his hair.
Right, it's that big dude, that big head.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
What were you talking about?
Meanwhile, back at the mission.
She said, "This is how I..." Like, was she sneaking into his house at night and rubbing on his face?
Quick comic book reference.
How did you get his imprint, Lynn?
Quick comic book reference. Don't you get a little vibe of like Alicia Masters in The Thing from that? Remember
Absolutely.
How she
Absolutely. But you remember, she'd always be feeling all over Ben Grimm. And it made you uncomfortable, like you were seeing something you shouldn't be seeing.
All right, Vince.
All right.
Oh, Jesus. All right. So we got more business to do, Vince. You know, we start the show with an outline, ladies and gentlemen, but that quickly.
We just had a back and forth about our schedule. Because we have a schedule.
Thank you for each and every one of you, ladies and gentlemen, who are subscribing to the Micheaux Mission Dispatch, our new newsletter that has been going out. In the most recent dispatch from last week, I posed a question out to the missionaries because, Vince, as you know, while we are in the final day of Black Horror Month here on the Micheaux Mission. This will soon be followed by,
You gonna flash like November?
I wish.
Black November month.
You know how much I wish I did have that already right now. But this will be soon followed by the holiday season, because Thanksgiving and Christmas and Kwanzaa and Hanukkah and everything is going to be coming. And typically during the holiday season, that you'll see tons of movies, holiday movies all over the place. But some networks, especially on Christmas Day or Christmas Eve, will literally just marathon one movie. For a long time, TBS, I think they still continue this tradition of marathon A Christmas Story.
At least as of last year. Yeah, absolutely.
And American Movie Classic, AMC, they actually got into the mode a couple of years ago, and they started rerunning Scrooged, the Bill Murray movie.
Good movie.
It's not a bad movie.
Yeah, one of my favorite Scrooge adaptations.
Really? Scrooge?
I love Scrooge.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for the version with George C. Scott myself, but okay.
Yeah, old school.
I like Patrick Stewart's version too.
That's a good one too. That is a good one. It's a little joyless, I think, but it's very well done.
Well, we can't all be Mr. Magoo. So anyway, so I put a question out there to the missionaries. If you had a black network, was there a black holiday movie that you would like to see, marathoned for the holidays? Because most of the black networks, while they definitely get in the holiday season, they show like tons of just holiday movies. They never like just choose one. Right. So we put it out there to the missionaries. It was in the newsletter, and our faithful social media director Toya put it out on Instagram for people to put in their answers. And we heard from Mayala Cancel.
Hey, Mayala.
Cancel, I believe. She said, if given 24 hours, I would ask BET to run back to back all its original romantic comedies from the early 2000s. But if we have to settle with one film for 24 hours, I'd say Coming to America or Drumline.
That's another good one. Pretty rewatchable.
Or Simeon by Uzan Palsy, which would have surpassed Sugarcane Alley as a classic today if it had had the proper marketing strategy. Hashtag I said what I said. So since we only have to pick one, and after much consideration, I'd say Coming to America. And I'm replying with an email because my spirit cannot hashtag about Christmas when November isn't even here yet. And I'm still wondering what's been happening in the world for the past 9 months. 2020 is really that year. Coming to America is a good movie. I mean, it's not a holiday film, but there is holiday in it. That's right. They do celebrate Christmas
about
in
to
it.
say, I think they have a Christmas party when whatchamacallit proposes.
Right.
I think that's the Christmas party. Oh yeah, utterly rewatchable.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I can see watching that all day long.
Absolutely.
Now, we also heard from your brother.
Hey, Damon.
And he suggested, let's see, what did he suggest? He suggested hold on. I got to get up here. He suggested Trading Places.
Yeah.
Another Eddie Murphy movie.
Oh yeah.
Another Eddie Murphy movie, definitely has Christmas in it.
Definitely has Christmas in it. Has a Philly angle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's my favorite Eddie Murphy mainstream film.
Trading Places?
Yep. You know, I separate his white movies and his black movies. That's my that's my favorite straight ahead Eddie Murphy movie. I love Trading Places.
All right. Let's see who, and we also heard from Amy Donella, excuse me. She also put in a vote for Coming to America.
Okay. Hey, Amy.
And New York Crown 1908.
Okay.
Suggested The Preacher's Wife.
I was thinking The Preacher's Wife. They actually show The Preacher's Wife a lot during the holidays.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could sit through a day of The Preacher's Wife.
Right. Right. I would probably end up turning back and forth.
Maybe.
Like trying to catch specific moments in The Preacher's Wife.
Maybe. Jay Webb suggested Beat Street.
Can't beat Beat Street. Can't beat Beat Street. I don't know if I can watch Ramo die 24 times in one day though. That seems like a lot.
That does seem a little. I don't know about that one. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know about Beat Street. Not a bad idea though. Preacher's Wife is definitely would be cool. I think Preacher's Wife and Coming to America are the runaway winners in that polling that we did there. All right. We really need to be getting into our review. You took us far afield, Vince. You really did.
You the one brought up Mask.
No, Jay Kickbox brought up Mask. I merely read his comment.
Right.
I merely read his comment. That's all. But there was one little bit of news that I wanted to shout out a little bit, though. And that was, okay, Vince, yeah, this was it. I'm curious about your feelings about the Richard Pryor movie.
Yeah.
That MGM is going to be producing. And Blackish creator Kenya Barris is going to be making his directorial debut on that film.
Now, remind me, is he writing the script too, or is he just directing it?
Let's see. MGM won a heated film rights and will partner with Blackish creator Kenya Barris for a movie on iconic comedian Richard Pryor. Barris will make his directorial debut on a film that he will write.
Yeah. I am ambivalent at best about this.
Yeah.
I actually don't mind him as the director. I don't know how much I see his pen bringing Richard Pryor to life the way it should be brought to life, though.
See, I would actually trust his pen a little bit more than him directing, because I think that Richard Pryor's life, the movie JoJo Dancer notwithstanding, which was more or less a a biopic that he created. I think his life is definitely worthy of exploration in the film, right? But right. I would like to see it given a full cinema treatment, and by that I mean actually feeling substantially like a film and not coming off in any way like, for lack of a better word, a blown up TV movie. You know? And I don't know that Kenya Barris would create such a property, but considering that this is his directorial debut, I would prefer to see this put in more accomplished hands. You know,
I can agree with that. I can agree with that. I guess I'd go to the writing because I think it is a story that has so many tones
Mm-hmm.
if it's going to be done correctly. And there have been maybe one or two moments on Blackish and I don't, and I don't know, like, I don't know episode by episode who wrote what.
Right.
Like, there have been a couple of, one or two episodes. There's a great moment in an episode where Anthony Anderson's character talks about the fear we all felt the day of Barack Obama's inauguration. When he was walking down the street.
Mm-hmm.
And we all were kind of expecting him, hoping he wasn't going to get shot. And it really is this wonderful moment that sticks out of, the 4 or 5 years that Blackish has been on. And, but I just go by Blackish. I go by, the episode that we watched of Black AF.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote the script for, was it Barbershop, A New Cut, or was it the second Barbershop film? I know I thought he wrote the script for one of the Barbershop films.
I wouldn't be surprised. I think he did actually. I can look it up because we want to.
And it was, it was solid. It was okay. It was okay. Like he didn't up in the boat.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But for something like Richard Pryor, I really do think you need someone who, again, captures all the complexities and nuances of Richard Pryor's life.
It was Barbershop, The Next Cut. He was the writer.
Yeah. And I didn't think that was bad. Like, I caught it on cable and I said, it's not bad.
Now, in his defense, he also wrote Girls Trip.
Which is not but see, same thing. It's not a bad script, but let's be like, nobody came home after watching Girls Trip talking about the script.
That's true. That's true. And he also is credited as a writer, and I'm sure he probably is more co-writer on Coming to America.
Coming to America, which we are all waiting with bated breath to see. But that seems more his lane.
It does. It does.
Kind of very good comedy.
Right.
As opposed to, what really needs to be a character study.
I remember, actually, just reading through this article that was in Deadline, I remember back in 2016 when the Weinstein Company had signed, they were working with Lee Daniels to do a film about Richard Pryor's life. And at that time, Mike Epps was attached to play Richard Pryor. I really like the idea of Mike Epps playing Richard Pryor.
So do I. I've loved it for years, but what has happened is what I thought was going to happen, and he's aged out.
You think so?
I think he's aged out. And I think he's aged out chronologically, and I also think this is a role that's kind of like a hot potato,
mm-hmm.
and the hot actor is going to get it. Like, whoever the hot actor is when they cast it,
mm-hmm.
I think is going to get the role because everybody wants this.
I don't know. Do you think, depending on when the film is set, do you really think, I don't know if Mike Epps is necessarily aged out of it. He's 49 and he's probably could still pass in his 30s, 40s.
Look, I would love it if he did, but it just feels like they're going to go with somebody younger.
Yeah. Well,
I wish they would, Mike Epps, and we both agreed, like Mike Epps was the best thing far and away in the Sparkle remake.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he was.
Mike Epps at that speed as Richard Pryor would be phenomenal.
Yeah. Most definitely.
So I'm holding out for him, but
I hope that it gets done because it's a story that's worthy to be made, and I'm going to.
Well, I hope that it gets done well because I think you got one shot.
Yeah, that's the thing. You got one. You
got one shot at this Richard Pryor movie.
Yeah. But who knows? You know, maybe it'll. I mean, Aretha Franklin is getting a miniseries and a movie. So
yeah,
if Aretha Franklin can get Cynthia Aurora playing her on TV and Jennifer Hudson playing her in a movie, then maybe Richard Pryor can get Mike Epps in a movie, and I don't know. What's his name? I just drew a blank on his name. Nick Cannon in the TV series. You're not laughing. All right, so you just looked at me dead like, yeah, that ain't even funny.
Well, you were breaking up a little bit. So I was trying to go with it.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, cool. Well, I said Nick Cannon in the television show. But anyway. Bree 517 says Mike Epps was the best thing in Lottery Ticket, and he was only in that movie for like 5 minutes.
Mike Epps was the best thing in Jumping the Broom. Mike Epps wasn't the best thing in The Last Black Man in San Francisco.
But he was a very good thing.
He was a very good thing in a film with a lot of good things in it.
Mm-hmm. And he's not in it a lot, and his moments stand out.
Right. Yeah. I really, really like Mike Epps, the actor.
Yes. I'm not a fan of him as a comedian, but as an actor, I'm a huge Mike Epps fan. I stand for Mike Epps. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, we've got a movie to review.
Yes, we do.
We have to review our final selection for Black Horror Month.
I'm going to miss this. I've grown accustomed to her face.
For those listening, we have a graphic that goes up every time we say Black Horror Month that tickles Vince unendingly. Let's get into our review of Tales from the Crypt, Demon Night. All right, now it's time for trailer talk.
Russell, are you running the trailer? You didn't say anything. I didn't know. All right, what you want to talk about?
Well, I'm going to put up one of these questions that Aaron Fry and George Kimona have been asking for the last few weeks. Any news about when you guys are going to review Star Trek Lower Decks?
Oh, boy.
Now, along with Star Trek Lower Decks, Vince, you know what's back.
I know.
Star Trek Discovery is back, Vince.
I know.
And we made a promise that when it returned, so was Spock adjacent, so that we could review it.
Yeah, you did. So now we got to figure it out.
Don't put that you on it. It was we. It was we.
Yes, we, the collective. Meanwhile, in Micheaux Mission Hall, we met in the big room, and we sure did.
So we got to make this happen. People have been getting on us, Vince, about Spock adjacent.
Yes. So we've had two episodes now of Discovery. Yeah.
Now we get a pass because the episodes were part 1, part 2. So maybe we get a pass.
Okay.
But we got to get back in it, Vince.
I know. Let's talk. I mean, Lynn, you know as well. We're actually pretty scheduled.
We are actually.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you talking. I hear you talking like you don't have the same information I have.
I know. Yeah.
I'm sitting here like, was this Negro not on the phone call I was on earlier? Was that Lynn?
I know. Things are getting mighty tight over here in Michelleville,
ladies
and gentlemen.
Was that the bust of Lionel Richie on that Zoom? could have swore we were just talking a couple of hours ago about stuff.
Yeah. Okay, so the schedule's getting tight.
Right. So we'll talk. We'll figure it.
But no,
doing trips. Like, yeah, we got to figure it out.
Okay, but here's the thing, Vince. You're good for saying we got to figure it out. And then you go shooting off to Baltimore. So we got to figure it out.
There's no shooting off. Everything is scheduled.
All right. We will figure. So George Kimona.
We are figuring it out.
Aaron Fry.
We are figuring it out.
Robert Monroe.
We are figuring it out. And
all of our Star Trek missionaries. We are figuring it out.
We are figuring it out. Yes.
Yeah. Adjacenters. Hey, that's a word. Adjacenters. Yeah. We are going to.
Now, Lynn, you're freezing on my end. Is that?
Now you froze on my end. This is interesting. Oh, now wait a minute. Now, Vince. George Kimona has.
Yeah, you're jamming up on my end.
Can you hear me now, Vince? Let's get this straightened out now, ladies and gentlemen.
Now you're jamming up a lot.
Am I really? Wow, that's interesting. All right, let me move this out of the way.
Hey, Lynn?
Yeah, I'm right here. Vince.
Lynn?
Yes, Vince. This is fun. Yes, I hear you, Vince. Can you hear me?
Right. Is that jamming up on your end or my end?
I think it was jamming up on. I was probably jamming up on your end, but you weren't jamming up on my end.
Okay, so it might be my connection?
Maybe, but it also may be because I had my phone next to the computer, so that might have messed it up because the Wi-Fi stuff. So I think it's better now, right?
Okay, so you moved your phone?
Yeah.
Grandpa?
Yeah. Jesus.
Or Omar. Like I just call you Omar?
Shut up. So listen, George Kimona has presented with us a possible solution. Okay?
I didn't hear you. You skipped again.
George Kimona has presented a possible solution to our Spock adjacent problem.
Okay.
He suggests that trailer talk can become disco discussion.
I love it.
I like that. But,
I like that as well.
But the only thing I don't like about that is that, you know what? Well, okay. I was going to say the only thing I don't like about that is that then only the people that are watching the stream would hear that because this part gets edited out of the podcast because the trailer comes bumping in here, right? But we could take that part and still release it separately as a small little disco discussion.
Well, we can't stop in the middle of the Micheaux mission for like a half hour to talk about Star Trek, though.
No, I'm saying it wouldn't be a half an hour. So it would be like he has to stop for like 10, 15 minutes. That is a long time.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So maybe it won't work. It sounds like
we'll figure it out.
I think we're back to we'll figure it out. All right.
You are freezing up on me.
Where's your phone? Where's your phone, Vince?
My phone is over where it always is.
All right. Well, I just turned off my Wi-Fi on my phone, making sure everything is cut out, so we should be fine. You look fine to me, and I look fine to you. And hey, say you, say me.
Like, did Lionel Richie work at the school?
I don't know.
Or was he just wandering the hallways?
I don't know. I don't know.
Wait, Say You Say Me, that's a different song. That's the theme song from Moscow. What's the movie with Mikhail Baryshnikov and
I do not know the Mikhail Baryshnikov movie. I know the movie you're talking about, but I don't know the name of it.
Yes.
No, I don't.
Oh, what is the name of that movie?
Nobody knows.
It was Mikhail Baryshnikov. Somebody knows because Gregory Hines had left the United States and moved to Russia, and then Mikhail Baryshnikov was trying to come to America.
I don't know.
Nobody.
Yeah, nobody is piping up, Vince. I'm looking it up. I'm going to look up his filmography. Mikhail Baryshnikov.
White Knight. That's it. George Kimona for the win. White Knight.
Well, to be fair, Aaron Fry said it first. Aaron Fry said it first.
All right.
White Knights. Okay.
You Say Me was on the soundtrack for a White Knight.
Like, there's no reason you should know that. There is no reason that the assistant English professor at Drexel University knows that Say You Say Me was on the soundtrack to the Baryshnikov film vehicle, White Knights.
White Knights, that's right. In the video, they were dancing together.
Was that the choreography, Vince?
Mikhail Baryshnikov was doing funky ballet.
Okay. All right. Well, we will now have mercy on our missionaries. What are you about to say, Vince?
You actually said, you know what, Lynn, let me just go out and come back in.
All right. I'm going to take you out.
All right.
I'm going to take you out. Vince is going out, ladies and gentlemen, and then he's going to come back in, and then we will bring you our review of Tales from the Crypt, Demon Night. This is how the sausage gets made. I think I'm going to have to get that Ethernet cord, man. My lady's been telling me I need to do these shows more attached to the Ethernet, so I think that's probably what I'm going to do. Vince.
I'm back.
Back?
All right. You ready?
Are you record? Well, you're still recording.
Ready to do a show?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm ready, Vince. I'm ready. Okay.
All right.
Go.
Tales from the Crypt presents Demon Night, or actually Tales from the Crypt, Demon Night, directed by Ernest Dickerson and written by Ethan Reef, Cyrus Voris, is the tale of Breaker, a man who carries the last of 7 keys, special containers which hold the blood of Christ and were scattered across the universe to prevent the forces of evil from taking over. If the collector gets the last key, the universe will fall into chaos. And the collector has been tracking Breaker all the way to a small inn in a nowhere town. And now the final battle for the universe begins. Tales from the Crypt, Demon Night, starring Billy Zane, William Sadler, Jada Pinkett Smith, Brenda Bake, CCH Pounder, Dick Miller, and Thomas Hayden Church from 1995, is our last entry in Black Horror Month 2020, and the choice of Lynn Webb. Lynn, how would you like to begin our discussion of Tales from the Crypt, Demon Night?
Well, I'll start here. This film is 100%. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. This film is about 80% not a traditional black film. Like if you were going to say, I want to watch black films, you went to, your local video store. Remember those kids? Remember when they used to actually have genre sections in Best Buy of the DVDs? And one section would be black films. You would not find Tales from the Crypt, Demon Night in that section because this film is not 80% of it, not a black film. But is that remaining 20% that makes this film unabashedly a black movie. And that is because this film is, one, directed by Ernest Dickerson, an accomplished black director, pretty much working as a director for hire, as it were, but he's still a black director. And he is working on a movie that, for the first time in quite a while in the genre of horror, features the final girl, as it were, that female protagonist that finds her way either through bumbling, or ratcheting up the courage to survive at the end and defeat the monster du jour of the film. For the first time since that trope was given birth in most prominently in the 80s, even though you could probably date it all the way back into the late 60s, early 70s. The first time the final girl is played by a black woman, that being a very young Jada Pinkett Smith in 1995 in this film, which is a kind of like a blown up feature film version or chapter in the Tales from the Crypt series, which was a TV series of popular note in the 90s. And the fact that Jada Pinkett is not only the final girl, but the way that her role plays out in this film makes this a seminal moment in black cinema. And that is because, as I mentioned, the final girl has almost always been a white woman, has almost always been a younger a woman in her 20s, 30s, varying intelligence for one reason or another in these films. Some of these women have been remarkable women who have gone on for very successful careers. I'm looking at you, Jamie Lee Curtis, who took her role in Halloween to higher levels and to surpass her place in the horror genre, but never running away from it. But the role of a black woman in horror films has always been the role of the sacrificial lamb, who usually finds herself, killed, murdered on a pit, either while being in the arms of her lover, or being separated from her friends or companions in the film. Never is the black woman, who I have always championed is the true superhero here on Earth. Never before 1995 was she given the opportunity to be the heroine at the end of these horror films. And along comes Tales from the Crypt, Demon Night, a film that actually, when you read the history of it, before Ernest Dickerson got his hands on it, was always meant to change the game up a little bit. This is a film that started famously as a a vehicle for Tales from the Crypt, but it started as a film that was always going to have an African American in the role. Mary Lambert, who directed Pet Sematary, when she had her hands on the script, had actually posited that maybe we can make the Breaker character, who was played by William Sadler, maybe make him African American too, as I'm reading here from Wikipedia, to create a theme that the oppressed people of Earth were also its saviors. Mary Lambert did not go on to make the film, and thus it kept moving on, and it was in its subsequent redraftings that the role of the African American did not land with Breaker, who you think is the protagonist of this film for much of the film, but it actually lands in the role of the final girl, played by Jada Pinkett, who is the true protagonist of this movie. This is also a movie that stands out in the horror genre because this is a movie that, let's face it, on its surface, it's a 80s, 90s horror film, complete with tons of bloody gore, complete with disgusting, icky-looking monsters who are made even all the more hideous to look at because it's all practical effects, and that is something to be appreciated in this film. And this is also a film that, for every bucket of blood, there are two boobs right there beside them, because this movie is heavy with breasts, right? So there's a lot of sexualization of the female body in this film. And yet, Jada Pinkett, who for most of the film is very much in a supporting role in this movie, which follows the typical, horror film trope: a bunch of people gathered together in one place and have to survive in this place from an onslaught of demons and the villains. And all of these characters are, your typical archetypes in horror movies. You've got the nerd played by Charles Fleischer. You got Thomas Hayden Church as the big dumb jerk. You've got William Sadler as the woebegone protagonist of mystery. You have CCH Pounder, who is that rough and ready, older chick who's down for whatever in the movie, and a perfect role for CCH Pounder to play. And Jada Pinkett is definitely in that supporting role. She's kind of like the young, spunky, urban chick who's like, oh man, I ain't got no time for this type of stuff. But you can also see that there's an air of intelligence behind her eyes, right? She's in supporting role for most of the movie. Yet, like I just said, with the intelligence, she is always acting to the height of her intelligence. Her character is, despite being, as you heard, in this place because she's on work release, she is always never played for a dummy, never played for someone who is not picking up what is going on, And in the moments near the end of the film where her form could be sexualized in a way, the movie, and I don't know if this is Ernest Dickerson, I don't know how much this is Jada Pinkett having a little bit control over her career. I would think not much at this very young stage of her career, but the film pulls back and doesn't sexualize her at all in this movie. And therefore you are allowed to only see her 100% as the protagonist, as the hero that she is meant to be, standing toe to toe with this villain. The villain, played by Billy Zane, sleepwalking for the most part through this movie, but Billy Zane can sleepwalk because Billy Zane may be one of the 10 prettiest men ever to walk the face of the earth. So he's just pretty Billy Zane walking by. And you can tell he's kind of having a little bit of fun with it. This movie does not take itself seriously at all, much like the Tales from the Crypt TV series from which it was born. So he's having fun. William Sadler, who pretty much has to be sad for the whole movie, but he's playing his role. CCH Pound is playing her role. Jada Pinkett is killing in this film. The special effects are definitely cringe worthy. The story is, it's horror, so there's always a mix of some kind of like religious aspect to it. Every time you're going up against demons, which is kind of like their code word for the devil, and all of a sudden there's the blood of Jesus is in some key thing, and this key thing just shows up. Now there are plot holes, man. There are two major plot holes in this movie, man. I'll let Vince talk, and then we can talk about them. That just all of a sudden showed up in this movie. Maybe I watched this movie 3 times because I was like, I must have missed something, but no, I didn't.
Lynn hadn't missed anything.
I had not missed a thing. I think maybe they just skipped a page of the script. Hey, let's just we're in the home stretch now. Let's keep it moving. If you had told me when we started Black History Month that Tales from the Crypt: Demon Night would be my favorite movie at the end of the month, I'd have said you are out of your mind. But despite its plot holes and despite some of the datedness of the effects, I really like this movie. I thought it was a bucket of fun, and I enjoyed it.
I think, is this the best of the 4 films that we saw? It may be, but I think it's like being a valedictorian of summer school. This was not a strong group of films that we had this year. This is not a very good film. This is not a very good film. And I think you could tell because Lynn, you just pulled one of my moves. You talked for like 15 minutes and didn't talk about the quality of the film at all, which I respect. Because like you, I think there are 2 aspects of this film that I found really interesting. The first, it seems like I may have enjoyed Billy Zane more than you did, but Billy Zane had completely charmed me by the end of this film.
Oh, really?
Like you said, Billy Zane was. I love '90s Billy Zane. Like I love this sort of. I love '90s villain Billy Zane.
Yeah,
that's why I think like the Phantom is so weird.
You're
right.
Right.
Talk about weird. Like the Phantom is, I think, the only film I can think of where Billy Zane, which is weird because it's Billy Zane and he should always be the villain.
I know. Bree 517 says, "Why is Billy Zane so good at playing the bad guy in these films?" Always.
There's a moment in the film where they use the blood of Jesus that Lynn mentioned. That yes, the blood of Jesus is a plot point. They use the blood of Jesus to form like shields, and as Billy Zane's character, the Collector, is basically seducing a guy and tells the guy, you have to wipe the blood off. Billy Zane rolls a sponge out of his mouth.
That's true.
It is so funny. I watched that part 3 times.
That was true.
With Billy Zane rolling the sponge out of his mouth and handing it to the guy. So I really, really enjoyed Billy Zane. And then to your point, I think the 2 Black women characters are actually fascinating. Like, I think they're actually fascinating. You talk about CCH Pounder's character, and I have to say, what I'm about to say, maybe 45 minutes into the film, I was thinking it, but like you were talking about my job a minute ago. Like, I just finished teaching Harriet Jacobs, Incidents in the Life of a Slave Girl, and I'm talking about the subversion of domesticity with Black women, and how Black women use these very traditional modes to make these radical moves. And like I'm reading Patricia Hill Collins' Black Feminist Theory, so I have all this stuff on my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And CCH Pounder's character is this is a boarding house basically, and
Pretty
it's
much
her house. And it starts at the beginning where she is like, "This is my house," and Jada Pinkett. They never quite tell you what the relationship is between them. I don't think she's Jada Pinkett's character's mother, but I got the sense she was an aunt or a relative, because Jada Pinkett is on
work release,
and she's living there. And so my experience with work releases of like somebody had to stand up and say they can stay with me,
right?
So she's definitely in this maternal role and in this domestic situation. And as the film goes on, again and again, you have these moments where they reinforce that. As I mentioned, each of the characters has a vision where the collective basically tries to
seduce them.
Seduce them. And not for nothing, CCH Pounder's character and Jada Pinkett's character are the only ones that can resist him.
That's right. Told you, they're superheroes.
But when he goes to seduce CCH Pounder's character, at some point her arm gets pulled off. Don't ask questions, just go with it, folks. And he serves her arm back to her, but on a dinner platter.
Yes.
So you have all of this dinner. And then, do you remember the last two things that she says before she dies? The characters are running out. The place has been overrun with demons, and Breaker is the hero. So of course he wants to protect everybody. CCH Pounder's character tells him to go on because she has a string of hand grenades that she's going to use. Don't ask about the hand grenades, folks.
Just go along with it.
Just go with it. The last thing she says to him is, "This is my house."
That's right.
And then the very last thing she says, when the demons overrun her, she pulls all the pins on the grenades, as people only do in the movies, and she says, "Supper time." So again, you have this Black female character who is playing with the imagery and with, again, domesticity in this really interesting way.
Wow.
And then you have Jada Pinkett's character, who, as you said, is the final girl. One thing we haven't mentioned, I said it a moment ago about resisting the seduction. The sort of classic final girl trope, when you look at the original essay that Carol Clover wrote, she says that there is a bit of morality involved.
Yes.
Like the final girl oftentimes avoids the slasher or the monster because she's a character. She's not having premarital sex. She's not drinking. She's not using drugs. She's pretty moral. And besides the sort of, it's kind of built in. Jada Pinkett said that she was in jail for stealing, and now she's on work release. Jada Pinkett is this really moral character. She resists the temptation. You talk about her being a supporting character, but when she is activated is when the little boy comes in, and then Jada Pinkett steps in as, again, almost a maternal figure.
That's right. There's a little boy that steps in.
Jada Pinkett is just sort of a side character, and then the little boy's family gets murdered. Jada Pinkett starts taking care of him, and that's when she goes to the foreground. It's almost like Ripley in Aliens.
Right.
Ripley is just sort of, we got to get it, but then Newt shows up, and then Ripley gets activated. And yes, she is the final girl. Like I think you're right about how little Jada Pinkett is sexualized. Because it is, at the very beginning, they show her and she's cleaning a stove, and CCH Pounder tells her to get dinner for people. So you have that, and that's sort of domestic and that's gendered, but she's dressed like she's in TLC.
Yeah.
So it's all baggied out, and I think she has on a midriff, but you can't really see it. And then
because she got like a big vest over it, right?
Right, but at the end when she strips down, she covers herself in the blood to protect herself. Again, right. Don't ask people, just go along with it. So that even that again kind of subverts the now she has a stripped down that you see in horror movies, and then she survives. Like she kills, she survives. She lives on to fight again. And to your point about the original treatment of this film, I thought it was noteworthy that, of course, the collector character has to come back, but now he's taken the form of a black man.
Right, right.
So now it has become racialized through her eyes, so that I was actually a little annoyed with you after it went off. I was like, I can't believe I'm thinking about this way more than I planned on thinking about it. Like, I will say this is, I'll go along with you that this is the best film of the 4 we watched this month, begrudgingly. But what I will say is this is the film that I thought about the most. Which I guess is a testament to this.
It is, man. It is. I mean, like you said, when Jada Pinkett covers herself with the blood, it's the blood of Jesus, ladies and gentlemen. I think what you got to remember, she's covering herself with the blood of Jesus. So,
yeah,
it's like you said, it subverts your gaze a little bit because there's no, like, the camera easily could have got close up on her. That, like any other film, and the camera is doing a tracking shot up her body,
right?
Covered
right, exactly.
You know, but this film doesn't do that. And then even in subsequent scenes, when after the collector and trying to deal with it, you know, gets the blood off of her, even then you still don't see her body in such a way that you get like the male gaze is not rewarded in any way by her imagery. It's not sexy at all.
Yeah, it's not sexy.
Even though they do share a dance at the end of the film, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But it's not sexy, and it's very easy to go sexy with Jada Pinkett, because Jada Pinkett is a very attractive woman who, I think it really struck me watching this film, is I think she's another one of those people who didn't get her just due in films. She has a charisma about her. She definitely has a charisma that pops off the screen. And I think it's to the detriment of Hollywood that she did not maybe stick with movies longer. I mean, now who knows? You know, we know how movies were in the 90s and how slim the roles were for Black women. So, you know, she followed the road that was well traveled and took her and went to television. You know, but I would have liked to see some more of her. She really has just popped off the screen in this. I really just enjoyed sitting there watching her.
You are a bigger Jada Pinkett fan than I am, but I have to say, as we have been on this journey, and whether we are talking about Bamboozled, whether we are talking of Set It Off, mm-hmm. whether we are talking about Girls Trip, I have reevaluated how I feel a bit about Jada Pinkett. I was not that impressed with her acting in this film, but I don't think this is a film where anyone did any award-winning work.
There's no heavy lifting going on in here. Yeah, no.
Right. I will agree with you. I think Jada Pinkett is an actress that needs direction. I think it's sort of like Jada Pinkett. I kind of put her with how did I just forget her name? Vivica Fox. Vivica Fox is another actress where I think there is that kind of, that kind of spicy mode that they get in, that a lot of directors just sort of plug them in, and they never get out of that gear.
Okay, all right.
So, but I like Jada Pinkett way more than I thought I did, just based on our conversations, frankly.
I really enjoyed her. I'm looking at her filmography now. She follows up Demon Knight with The Nutty Professor. So, wow. Jada Pinkett again next month. Then she's in
Jada
Set It
Pinkett
Off.
next month. Yeah, and I love her in Set It Off.
Woo, Woo is Woo.
What? And not to cut you off, but you kind of see where you're going. Like, she's in these movies that either the movies are forgettable, or like a film like The Nutty Professor, they could have just gotten a cardboard cutout and put that there and say, okay, you play the love interest MacGuffin.
Right.
So like, you can't really judge her.
Yeah. Which is probably why she's not in the sequel. They replaced her with Janet Jackson. They found
another cardboard cutout, like Janet Jackson's manager managed to jam her in there.
Right. Good point. But I'm just glad. So it sounds like, Vince, that you may have liked Tales from the Crypt: Demon Knight.
I liked it as part of a. Why is your face so close to the camera? What are you doing?
I was waiting for your answer. I want to hear your answer.
I like it as part of our. Will you back up? It's weird. I like it as part of our conversation. I saw. I think someone just referenced Lovecraft Country, and I think we are in this really, really fascinating moment when we're talking about genre and Black genre and Black people in horror movies. And I think I like this as part of the conversation. Like, this is a part of the conversation that I didn't know existed. But as a standalone movie, I don't know if I ever need to see this again. Like, I'm glad I saw it. And like, when it comes up, I'm glad I can talk about it. But I never need to watch this again.
Did any part kind of get to you, Vince? Like when Billy Zane punches John Shuck through the face, and then he gets his fist stuck in his face. He's got to shake his face off his fist. Like, get this face off my fist.
You know what did get to me, and this was a racialized part. You realize that, so Billy Zane is going after this guy, and Billy Zane goes up to the local police officers, and the film tries to play coy. That Billy Zane, it doesn't, like, Billy Zane sort of presents as an authority figure. Although, like, it's Billy Zane, so he's going to end up being the bad guy. But, like, Billy Zane gets out, like, walks up, and he just has on a cowboy hat. Nobody asked him for any ID. No. Nobody asked him who he is. Like, it's not until, and here it is again, CCH Pounder is the first person in the movie who actually says the words, "Who are you?" I actually wrote in my notes, boy, it's good being a white guy with a cowboy hat. Like, you just do what you want. You just walk around.
Yep. Well,
besides Billy Zane spitting out the sponge, which legitimately, like, that actually made me laugh.
That was funny. I will give it up. That was funny. And the look on his face is funny when he does it. You know,
I'm
maybe
not a big Tales from the Crypt guy though.
Me neither. I really wasn't.
Yeah,
To me,
yeah.
it was just like, it's like so much of nothing. If you are a fan of Tales from the Crypt Keeper is here in the beginning. He is here at the end. And Quiet as Kept, I think that his parts steal from the movie. I mean, I think the movie is, schlocky, campy fun on its own, and I think those little his intro and outro don't help it at all. I think they actually pull away from the film. Yeah, I think shame.
I don't want to get too deep into the comic woods, but this is all pulled from those 50s EC comics.
Yep.
And I always thought Tales from the Crypt was not as clever or as subversive as it thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's always this really self-satisfied air with Tales from the Crypt. Like they're doing something, again, something really subversive and dangerous.
Yeah, we're changing the game. Yeah.
Right. And I think that worked in 1957.
Mm-hmm.
But like in the 80s, I was just like, am I missing something?
But to be fair, I think that might have been. It wasn't. We weren't the audience for it in the 80s. I mean, let's face it. I think the audience was.
Who's the audience?
I think the audience for it were the people that were going to the movies and seeing these type of films. And this was a way to bring them down to a feasible TV budget output.
But see, that kind of proves my point though. Like I think something like the first Friday the 13th, the first couple of Nightmare on Elm Street,
80s.
There, but I thought those were much more. But I thought those were much more subversive,
mm-hmm.
kind of dangerous,
mm-hmm.
kind of almost outlaw.
Yep.
Like Tales from the Crypt really just struck me as almost a member berry. Like I was wondering who you were going to say it was for, because I really did think it was like for the aging baby boomer. Who found something like Nightmare on Elm Street a little much. Like Nightmare on Elm Street is a little much.
Yeah, but by the time you get to Tales from the Crypt
reminds me of.
By the time you get to Tales from the Crypt, Nightmare on Elm Street, that movie franchise, and probably to a lesser degree, Friday the 13th, they've almost morphed into what Tales of the Crypt is. Certainly, you could say that about Nightmare on Elm Street. I mean, Freddy Krueger darn near becomes a mascot by the time that is all said and done.
I'm going to assume what you said was very thoughtful and insightful.
Yeah, there you go. Go with it. Smart man. I would recommend that people go see this movie. Look, I don't know where the kid Danny comes from. I don't know how he gets into the wall, gets into this mine that is behind a wall. But he somehow gets into the mine that the demons have found. I don't understand it. I think I could work it out in my brain, but that's a little bit too much heavy lifting for a film like Tales from the Crypt: Demon Night. So I just give it a pass. I was like, oh, Danny's here. All right. We had no reason. We had no reason to know that anybody in the mission knew who Danny was. We didn't see Danny with them. So
I mean, it's a little town. I didn't mind that. It's a little town. You just assume everybody knows everybody.
Yeah, okay. All right. I guess. Look, it's a dumb, fun horror movie. Go watch it. Have some fun. It's not going to hurt anybody, and it is a historic film for the role that Jada Pinkett plays in this film. So
I'll give you this. I would not mind someone like Nia DaCosta or Misha Green, like somehow like resurrecting this and like doing an actual sequel to this. Like it's 25 years later.
Sequel, okay.
Like it's 25 years later, and Jada Pinkett's character has been doing this for 25 years now.
Okay, all right. Now that
kind of like the last Halloween, where I think they brought back
Jamie Lee Curtis. Yes.
I just forgot her name. We were just talking about her.
Jamie Lee Curtis. I believe I may have frozen on Vince, and he has not heard me say Jamie Lee Curtis for the third time.
Yes. Yeah. So,
all right, we got to end this before whatever is happening with our internets blows up. All right, so that's it. So before we tell you, so thank you for following us. During Black.
Interesting.
Thank you for following us for Black Horror Month, ladies and gentlemen. We hope you have enjoyed it. We look forward to all of your feedback that you can email us at micheauxmission@gmail.com, or you can follow us on all the social medias, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, at Micheaux Mission, and let us know your thoughts on Demon Night and any of the films that we've covered during Black Horror Month. Before we tell you what we will be reviewing next week, I invite you to like and subscribe to us on YouTube. Become a subscriber to the Micheaux Mission on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter. It really helps the show. And check it out. Check out the micheauxmission.com for swag, because all the proceeds for that go to helping keeping the show free for you. We appreciate it. We even got Micheaux Mission face masks out there so that you can watch your films socially distancing safely from one another. All right. The Micheaux Mission is available as a podcast on The Podglomerate, curated podcast for your listening pleasure. Go to thepodglomerate.com and check out all of the shows that they have there for you to check out. The Micheaux Mission is available as a radio show every Saturday at 1 p.m. on WPPM 106.5 FM, Philly Cam, People Power Media, here in the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection. And you can wake up with the Micheaux Mission every Monday at 9 a.m. on WKDU 91.7, the voice of Drexel University. All right? Okay. Vincent is frozen again, so I don't know whether or not he can tell people exactly what we're going to be watching next week. But if he can't, I'll tell you what we're watching next week, ladies and gentlemen, because it'll be Vincent's opportunity. And we will be going into the year of 1996 to review Spike Lee. It's almost like a repeat of Black Horror Month. We started off Black Horror Month with the Spike Lee movie. And now we are starting November with another Spike Lee movie. And Vince is back just in time to tell you the Spike Lee movie that we will be kicking off November with.
Yes. A lot of this film has been on my mind a couple of different ways. A few months ago, when we were talking about Deep Cover, you and I were discussing who has become one of our favorite actors, Roger Gouverneur Smith.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking about films that Roger Gouverneur Smith was in. A few weeks ago, we talked about The Five Bloods, and I mentioned that there was another Spike Lee film that I thought dealt with black men talking to one another better than The Five Bloods did. That's one way. The anniversary of the Million Man March was just last week. So that, of course, is why this film has been on my mind. And then, sadly, I think we're still sort of grappling with the untimely death of Thomas Jefferson Byrd. And while when we talk about Thomas Jefferson Byrd, I think you could argue his best roles were in something like Clockers or Bamboozled. Those are definitely the flashier performances by him that we think of. But I think maybe my favorite role is in this film. So for all of those reasons, next week we're going to talk about 1996, Get on the Bus. Spike Lee's film, Get on the Bus.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We will be reviewing Get on the Bus next week here on the Micheaux Mission. And before we do, I hope that each and every one of you get on the bus, get in your cards, or do your own Million Man March to where you have to go and vote. Next week, November 3rd, is election day. So please vote, everyone. Aaron Fry voted just yesterday. Congratulations, Aaron. Bree 517 will vote early if you can. She's dropping off her ballot today. That's right. You can still do mail-in ballots. You want to get them in so they're
I voted last week.
I voted 2 weeks ago, actually.
Yeah.
I voted. So vote, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not telling you who to vote for. But it's very important to have your voice be counted. Okay?
You should probably not vote for the person who's affiliated with Nazis, though. Lynn, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that we don't like people who are affiliated with Nazis.
Yeah, that's safe. That's safe.
So I'll say that.
We'll say that. We'll say that much as far as you know.
I don't think any Nazis are very fine people.
No, they're not.
Okay.
All right.
But you vote for who you know.
But you vote for who you're moved to. Just vote, ladies and gentlemen. Let your voice be heard. All right? Okay. Until next week, he's Vincent. I'm Len. And in parting, we say,
we'll see you when it's time to meet again.
Peace, everybody. Everybody be safe. Mask up.